starting point, since it lacks all the joy and humour of its stablemates Doom and Duke Nukem 3D, and is persistently the colour of a wet weekend at the Siberian logging camp. But for all that, it is still a retro shooter of its time, high-octane shooting where you move faster than a hairless Filipino boy through a crowded bathhouse, and the story never gets in the way of the action. About the only story you'll get is a paragraph at the end of each episode that reads like John Romero is reciting it at you from across his Dungeons & Dragons table. Quake was the last collaboration between id Software's two Johns, Romero and Carmack, before Romero went off to make Daikatana out of mousetraps and semen, and Carmack proceeded to craft Quake 2 out of stale Weetabix and paste. Quake 1 finds the happy medium and illustrates why they kinda needed each other. That lightning gun that murders you if you use it in water definitely smells of Romero, but at least there's some imagination on display. The colour scheme and repetitive levels were probably scraped up from the Carmack tarmac, but the gameplay is characteristically solid. I like that every monster is clearly distinct, from each other I mean, if not from the background, since everything looks like it just dropped out of a sewage worker's nose, and all have a different role in life. The Knight harasses you in tight spaces, and the Fiend harasses you in the open. There's the Floating Scrag, whose job is to molest you in those troublesome hard-to-reach places, and then there's the Ogre, whose job is to get fucked! You think you're so great sitting up there spamming grenades with impossible to predict bounce trajectories. Let's see who has the last laugh after I've quick saved another 700 or 800 times. And that blob monster in the last episode can get double fucked on a bed of crispy lettuce, the way it hops about like a marble on a honeymoon mattress and hitting it is like trying to swat a fly with your jizz. The weapons are also distinct and functional for the most part. I'm not entirely clear on why we needed a nail gun and a super nail gun. What's the standard nail gun for once you have one that fires the exact same nails but slightly harder, serving drinks and mixed finger food? And the other glaring issue with Quake is the usual one that happened with shareware games. If you don't remember shareware because you're an overstimulated millennial, blinking stupidly at this video as you attempt to pass my words through a haze of ADHD medication and energy pills, it was kind of like a demo but freely distributed and anything up to an entire third of the finished game, to coax the payment for the rest of it. But the usual strategy was to load it up with all the game's good ideas. The first episode of Quake is the only one with a boss fight, and even that is mostly spent running around someone's pool house flicking light switches like a fussy dad with an increased electricity bill. The other episodes just kind of meekly stop